So this is one of the unfinished craft hearts from Dollar Tree, and I just gave it a coat of this pink parfait apple barrel paint. And I'm going to take some painter's tape, and we're going to start our buffalo check pattern with the first line in the middle. So you'll put one piece of tape down, and this is your like centering tape or marker tape. So you'll put that piece down so you can make sure everything is evenly spaced, and take that back up, and then you'll use that to make your next space on the other side. Try to keep it straight so you can make sure and continue to use it. It'll save you a lot of tape if you don't have to pull off a new piece each time. So you've got that down for spacing, and then your other mark. Now this is where your second color comes in. I chose pinks and reds, and then I'll mix them together at the end to get kind of a purple chocolatey tone. And this is the flamenco red. It's also apple barrel. These are very inexpensive at Walmart. I'm gonna tone down the red just a little bit by mixing the pink with it. That way it's not so in your face red. And I'm gonna start my first stripe with that. Now, if you were looking for something that you could use all year round, the first you would do a base coat of white, and then this step would be your gray. If you were looking for a traditional black and white buffalo check, this would be your gray step. So I'm just gonna, I kind of pounced along the edge of the tape just to make sure that I had minimal bleeding. And then you'll go along the next stripe. Sorry, I got a little out of frame here while I was getting that last little stripe, but here it is with all my stripes finished. I left my tape on while it dried, and I let it completely dry. If you're using acrylic paint, it'll dry fast. So here are my stripes dried, and I'm just gonna pull those pieces of tape off. Again, if you can save those, do that, because you'll be putting them right back in the same spot for the third step. So now what we're going to do is do our horizontal line. So I just decided where I wanted my first horizontal line to go. You don't have to start here. You can by all means start at the top. I just kind of wanted mine to be in the middle. Again, I'm going to use that spacer piece of tape, and it got all crumpled up. So I'm uncrinkling it and laying it down so I can get my tape lines nice and evenly spaced. So there's my third piece of tape, and I'll pull up my spacer and move it to the bottom. And then my next piece of tape, and I just had a very small tip down there, but I went ahead and put a piece of tape on it just to make sure that everything stayed uniform, and I pulled off my spacer tape. So on this stripe, you're actually going to use the same paint. So again, I'm going to use that color that the muted down red. If you were doing the traditional black and white, this step would again be gray. I'm not focusing so much on the spots that are already painted since it is the same color. I'm just hitting those lighter spots in between. And if you're mixing up your gray or whatever your other color is, in my case this red color, you do want to make sure that you mix enough to do both this step and the previous step, because you want to make sure that it's all the same. So once that dries, you're going to put your original pieces of tape down, and you should be able to kind of see where they went on the first step. So you're just going to lay those back down. I did get mine a little bit off, but I was able to fix it with my sponge and a Q-tip once I finished up. So just try your best to get them back where they were. You'll see I was second guessing myself on this one. So this would be, if you're doing traditional black and white, this would be your black step. So like I said, I just mixed a little bit more red in with that and came up with, it's kind of like a deep grape color. It's kind of showing up brown on camera, but it does kind of remind me of like melted chocolate. So I think it still works for a Valentine's theme. It's a much more muted color than a bright, vibrant purple. If you were doing something Valentine's, you could by all means go with like a burgundy or a wine color, and that would work in this space just as well. So you're just getting all of those spots that are not covered in tape. And while the paint is still wet on this last spot, you can go ahead and pull off the tape and let it dry. This is the last piece. Looks pretty good. I do see a few little spots where it bled, where maybe my tape wasn't stuck all the way down, but easily fixed. So I'm just going to touch that up there where it didn't quite go all the way to the line. And I'm just going to set it aside. There was one little pink spot that I needed to touch up as well. So I just did that with a little piece of paper towel, just where the red bled over a little bit. You could also distress this, and if you're going to distress it, then the lines don't have to be as crisp, because the distressing is going to take kind of the edge of the line away anyways. So you see how much paint I used there to mix up the red. And I actually misspoke. When I mixed up the red to get that purple color, I did also add in some black. So I'm just mixing that up with, honestly, the end of my finger. And I'm going to go in. There is a little spot right there on the edge that I want to get that taken care of. If you had a small paintbrush, you could use that as well. It's kind of what I love about acrylic craft paint, is it is pretty forgiving. Okay, so now that I have everything touched up, Here's what it looks like as it's all nice and dry. And I just put it into the wreath that I did a couple weeks ago. That was a Dollar Tree project as well. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.